WVTC Radio Detroit. You can find us on Facebook, YouTube, X, and our website, www.wvtcdetroit.com, or download our WVTC app from the Play Store for Android users and the App Store for iPhone users. Thank you for tuning to WVTC Radio Detroit and the Community Bell Show with your host, former Wayne County Commissioner, Edna Bell. Stay tuned for insightful information Detroiters will find valuable. Text a friend and tell them to watch with you for news you can use. And now, your host, Edna Bell.
Hello, hello, hello. It is Monday at 4 o'clock, so it must be the Community Bell Show. Welcome, everyone, to the Stellar Award winning WVTC Radio Detroit. We are so glad to have you. It's a beautiful day in Detroit. Now, think back to what it was last Monday and how cold it was. And now look at it today. You know, God just does some very special things with the weather. And I don't care what anybody says, he's doing it. He's working it the way he wants to work it. So you can say whatever you want. But we are truly blessed to be able to be here in this wonderful studio with these great people. And I'm just excited about it because Mondays at 4 o'clock are special days for me. I have the opportunity to talk to all of you and to talk about stuff, just whatever we want to talk about. But It's a pleasure for me to be here. Now, we got our special guest, our real estate mogul, Mr. Ken Scott's going to be on with us today, talking about real estate, but also talking about something else. A very dear friend, wonderful entertainer has passed, and we're going to be making a pledge to you to help out. And if you've been to any of the jazz on the Ave or on Livernois, you have seen her perform. You've seen her sing in front of Ken Scott's offices on Livernois, and you've seen her perform in the Mike's grocery store parking area. Does a wonderful performance, and so Ken's going to talk about that. But before Ken comes on, I want to talk to you about something. I know that every time 49 says something, people go crazy. And he just says things just so that people will go crazy. Don't go crazy every time 49 says something. He's waiting for a reaction. For instance, his latest, he's going to he sent out an executive order that prevents those persons who are born in the United States up to a person who is not a citizen from being a citizen. Well, let me talk to you about that. This little baby here is the Constitution of the United States. You really ought to read it. You really need to know what's in here because 49 can't do that. He's saying stuff that he might want to do it. There may be people that want to help him do it. Constitution says he cannot do it. In 1966, June 8th, 1966, the 14th Amendment passed Congress. The 14th Amendment says all persons born or naturalized, and let me go back to that, all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States. Hear that? All persons born in the United States are citizens of the United States and the state where they were born. No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges of immunities of citizenship of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws. Let me go back to the first sentence. All persons born of or naturalized in the United States are citizens of the United States. Now, it was passed June 8th, 1966 1966 by Congress, and it was ratified. Back up, 1866. I'm giving it too much time. 1866. And it was ratified July 9th of 1868. Now, why is that important? That is important because what happens with the laws of the United States and the Constitution, you got to read this stuff. When a law is passed, an amendment to the Constitution is passed, it has to be ratified, which means it has to be voted on by all of the states. And it takes 2/3 of the states to say yes for it to become an amendment to the Constitution. So it was passed by Congress June 8th, 1866, and it was ratified by the states of the United States of America. 2/3 of them. July 9th, 2 years later, 1868. So don't jump up and go crazy because the 49 said he wanted to do something. Can't do it. 49 says he wants to do it. Just because he says it doesn't mean it's going to happen. So just want you to calm down. Don't let 49 get you all flustered. Make sure that you know what you're talking about and what he's talking about, and check it. Just go get your copy of the Constitution and read it. It'll tell you. Now, he may want to do it. He can't do it. Now, I'm not sure if his wife or his vice president's wife are subject to this amendment. I don't know if they were born in the United States. I don't think they were. If they were their parents uh, citizens of the United States? I don't know that. So, be careful what you say because that stuff could come back and bite you. When you're trying to do something to somebody else, it has a way of coming back and saying, "Oh, no, 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 no," back at you. So be careful what you say and how who you say it to and how you say it. God don't like ugly. My mother used to tell me that all the time. God don't like ugly. And I must say, I wasn't always as godly as I should have been as a young child. My mother had to make me go get my own switch on several occasions. So, I know about going and get your own switch. So, yeah, I wasn't always who I should have been, but that's okay. I try. I'm trying. I've grown. God has blessed me to be able to see the light. So let's make sure we try to pass that on. Let's make sure we do that because we must not panic. We must not panic. You know, whatever it's going to be, it's going to be. Try to handle the things that are within your control. If you could just work on the stuff that you can handle, that would go a long way in taking care of your circumstances and a whole lot of other folks' circumstances. Because sometimes we try to work on stuff for somebody else that isn't even our business to be working on. So we need to just try to work on ourselves, try to work on the stuff that we can handle. And if we all do that, if we all do that, things will work out a whole lot better. It reminds me of our minister preached yesterday about your gift. Take care of your gift. Take care of yours, and make sure you do the right thing by yours, and don't try to take care of somebody else's because while you're trying to take care of somebody else's, you gonna miss your blessing. So take care of your own gift. I think that would probably be the word for the day. Take care of your gift. Be sure that you're doing that, and God will take care of the rest of it. Now, if He doesn't do it in your time frame, oh well, because He's not working on your time frame. He will do it when He thinks it's the right time to do it, not on your schedule. He's got His own schedule. A lot of times you impact that schedule by what you do and how you're acting and the way you're talking to folks. You know, we talk about being godly and stuff and walk up into church and look at folks and don't speak to them. Walk up into the church and give them that eye that says, I'm going to talk to you. Throw your head up in the air, turn your back. Uh, Somehow that doesn't seem to me to be the right way to do it. So, God is watching a lot of this stuff. Lord knows we haven't done all the things we should have done right. We've done a lot of things wrong. But as long as you're working on trying to fix some of it, uh, you'll probably be okay. But you just can't walk around thinking that you are all that in a cup of tea. And lo and behold, you you don't even have the cup, let alone the tea. So come on now. I just want to make sure that we think about what we're doing and how we're doing it, um, because it will help all of us in the long run. I was looking at some. I don't know if I was looking at a movie or something on TV, and the people were talking about um, what's mine, and this is mine, and I want to protect mine. And then somebody said, "Well, wait a minute, isn't this all of ours? Shouldn't we be trying? Everybody be trying to protect all of ours, not just my. Shouldn't we be trying to protect everybody's? Because if we protect everybody's, then that will include you, and you'll be okay too. So think about that. But we got lots of stuff to talk about. Like Ken Scott, are you there? Hey, Ken, how are you? Hey, Ken
I'm
Scott,
doing great. How are you?
how are you this afternoon?
How are you?
I am
I'm doing
great.
great. How are
I'm
you?
so glad to see you. It's good to see you. Thank you and my dear friend Larry for handling the show on the Real Estate Tuesday. But I just need to have you come back so I can see you, so I can talk to you about stuff.
Well, I
Stuff going
appreciate
on
that. I'm
in
glad you're back in that seat
the world.
again.
Yes, yes, yes. Now, before we get into real estate, I want you to talk about the young lady who has such a beautiful voice, who has shared it with the world for so long, and unfortunately has now passed. And you had something going on with her. Give us everybody her name and what the event is.
Her name is Yvette Meadows. Most of you have heard from her at forums such as the Arts Beats and Eats, the Detroit Jazz Festival, the Highland Park Music Festival, Green Acres Concert in the Park, Jazz on the Ave with on the days of the Arise Detroit events that we've had up on Livernois, and another event that I had given up on Livernois a few years ago. She's a um, she was a wonderful person, uh, wonderful producer, one of a wonderful a songstress. Um, she played R&B, jazz. Um, when she sat in front of her keyboard, she just commanded everyone's attention and everyone's smiles and applause and what have you. And unfortunately, she died last Monday,
Mm,
and it left a lot of void for those of us that knew her. Um, I know personally, I had arranged for her to be at about 9 functions that I had given because she was such a wonderful artist. And when she died, I mean, it shocked me because when I got the text that she had died, I read it wrong, and I thought, okay, everything's all right and everything. Let me come back to it. And then when I finally focused in on it, it said, "Oh my God, she's gone." And I had no idea that she was sick or
wow.
anything. So um, it kind of threw me. We've developed, like I said, a nice relationship over the last few years, and the family, through the musicians that she had played with, she had played as Yvette Meadows. She had played as Yvette Meadows and Family, and her band prior to that was Quarter to Midnight. And she had played, like I said, at a number of venues, not only the public venues that I mentioned, but the private venues. And what we want to do is raise some funds for her to be buried. What we're doing is getting together tomorrow night from 6 to 9 at Baker's Keyboard Lounge. The admission is $10. You can contribute however much you want to. What we're trying to do is make sure that this beautiful songbird is laid to rest in a proper fashion. And with all the love that's going to be in the room that night, I'm pretty sure we'll accomplish our goal.
Wonderful, wonderful. And I know everybody knows where Baker's Keyboard Lounge is. It's one of the oldest jazz facility in the country, I believe. So Baker's
The
Keyboard
oldest
Lounge,
jazz.
the oldest, and is at Livernois, a quarter of a block south of 8 Mile. How's that? On the east side of the
Well,
street.
exactly. It's right next to the gas station. It's 20510 Livernois.
Mhm.
Um, we'll be there tomorrow night, like I said, from 6 to 9.
Okay. So everybody
Yeah.
drop by, and if you can't drop by, send something. And if you can't stay,
Yes, absolutely.
drop your gift off and keep going. We would have really appreciated if you never heard this young
Absolutely.
lady sing. You've missed it. Beautiful voice, just quite an entertainer. As I
Oh,
said,
and let
I'm
me say this as well.
from the Avid Jazz on the
We're going
Air.
to have absolutely. And we're going to have a jam session with her musicians that have played with her throughout the years. So you can come and listen to some beautiful, beautiful music tomorrow night. And I'm pretty sure by the end of the night, you'll feel as what we do about her tomorrow night with all the tributes and what have you.
Oh, Tom, that's just a wonderful thing to do. A wonderful thing. Our hearts go out to her family. We send blessings to her family. God will be with you. We pray, and we're going to do everything we can to help ease the pain, to just help ease the pain
Absolutely.
for Yvette. She was a wonderful songstress, quite and not just a songstress, an entertainer. She was quite an entertainer.
Absolutely.
Yes, so we appreciate your Ken
Absolutely.
for putting that together and bringing that to us. And that's let me just say about Ken now. That's just one of the things that Ken does. He does all sorts of things in that community, and this is just one of the examples of the kinds of things he does to give back to the community and the people who he cares about and has worked with for all these years. And I know people are saying, Ken, that the values of homes in Michigan and in particular Detroit are rising. That's a good thing. Is that not? Good thing, Ken. Can you hear me?
Pardon me?
I said I am hearing that
We can see you. I can hear
the
you.
the prices or the values of homes in Detroit are going up, and we just think that's a good thing. Is that not?
Tremendously.
Yes, yes. And
It
so,
can and cannot be depending on the situation because it can
wait a minute,
unfortunately
wait a
price some
minute. Then
people
you
out of
could,
home ownership.
oh well, now that's the other part of it. It could price some people out, but some of the things that I think the
Right.
city and some of the other agencies are doing will help those people who might be priced out. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Absolutely. My organization, Detroit Home Ownership Center, CDC, is putting together a number of events over the next few months where we're going to help people prepare for home ownership, um, getting ready for the mortgage steps, getting ready for readiness by getting a savings and checking account, budgeting, credit scoring, uh, making sure that they're ready for a mortgage, make sure that they're ready for a down payment assistance. Um,
Mhm.
Ultimately, when we think about having a goal as far as home ownership, we think of it as the last minute thing, or we start preparing at the last minute, and all of a sudden we wake up and we ready to own a home and what have you. But what we're doing is a 10-month workshop to prepare people for home ownership, making sure that they are credit worthy, making sure that they are mortgage ready, and make sure that their down payment assistance are ready as well. I don't know if the City of Detroit's down payment assistance program, where they issue $25,000 per person to buy a home, I don't know
Mhm.
if that's going to be in existence after this past cycle. I'm hoping to hear word of that real soon. But at the same time, we need to prepare for it as if it wasn't there so we can make sure that we attain home ownership and attain it more affordably.
Absolutely, absolutely. And when you have the home owner or buyer seminars, and you have certain
Uh-huh.
banks, because I've attended a couple of them, and there are several banks who attend representatives. Can those representatives from the banks open credit or bank accounts for people on the spot, or do the people have to go into the bank to open those accounts?
Those people would have to go into the financial institution and start a deposit, whether it be in the savings or checking account. But also, one of the things that is little known by our audience is the fact that in February 9th of 2022, Governor Whitmer signed into law a first-time home buyer savings account, where a person could start a savings account specifically for home ownership. The account has to be designated as a first-time home buyer savings account, and that individual or anyone in their family or friends or someone that has their best interest can start an account for them to own a home and put down as far as a deposit on a home. and make sure that that money that they have received in that account is 100% tax deductible for
Oh,
anyone starting that account.
oh, that's good to know.
And it goes through December 31st of 2026.
Oh, what?
So I take it they did that because that's the end of her term limitation.
Yes, yes. But let me go back
Yeah,
to
yeah.
the other
But at
question
the
I
same
asked.
time, it's beneficial to the home buyer.
Absolutely,
Go
absolutely.
ahead.
I want to go back to people being able to open an account without going into a bank. And
Hmm.
I know you said that they need to go
Hmm.
in but can you maybe talk to some of the banks about not making people go into the bank to open the initial account? It seems because people there are lots of people who just won't go to inside a bank initially, but they will come to a
Well, you
seminar
can
or
apply
a
online.
no, no, okay, that's good too. But I'm just saying that for all these seminars that you have, and these people who are there who genuinely want to get involved in owning a home and start, they will go to a person sitting at one of those desks you have representing a bank and fill out all the
Hmm.
paperwork to open an account, but they won't go inside a bank to open the account. So I'm just saying if they are able to fill out the paperwork at one of your seminars, and then
Hmm.
all they need to do is uh, go to the bank and put the money in as opposed to sitting inside a bank building filling out all the paperwork. I mean, it seems to me
Actually, I will.
there ought to be a way to do that for the banks to do that simply for people who just have an aversion to going to that bank to start that account. But if you can start in your at your one of your meetings, and then all they need to do is that, okay, I've got my account. This is my account number. Now I can just walk in the bank, grab a deposit slip, and put the money, put it in, and I don't have to do all that other stuff and stay all that other time at the bank. That seems to me that would be helpful in a lot of people opening accounts. What do you think?
Actually, I will address that. I will address that with the our sponsors and our mortgage lenders that are going to be present. I'll express that to them and see if they can make that available to the attendees.
I think that would be that would assist some people in at least starting the
Yeah,
process of banking
yeah,
and saving because a lot
absolutely.
of
Because
folks just don't they're not banked. They don't have bank accounts. They go to these check cashing places that charge them a arm and a leg, and they might get robbed coming in and out of some of those places. I'm just saying that I don't know that to be true, but it would seem to me that banks would benefit by being able to do that remotely. So I'm just thinking that that's something. So I'm glad you're going to bring that up at one of your seminars. When's the next seminar, Ken? And you have frozen on me. Get unfrozen. Ken is frozen, everybody. But while Ken is getting unfrozen, we're going to go to a song and let him get unfrozen, and then we're going to come right back. And hopefully his communication
yes,
system will be. Are you back? There you are. You were
I
frozen.
am. I am.
Okay.
Oh, okay. I didn't know I was frozen. I was
Yeah.
trying to.
I thought you were just ignoring me. I was just talking. I was just talking. I said, Ken is saying
Oh no,
anything.
no, 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 no. I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying, but also let me state this: a lot of our community. I'm not sure if it's the majority, but a lot of our community is unbanked, meaning that you
Yes.
don't have a checking or a savings account.
Yes.
And although a lot of people are fearful of the fees and the rates and what have you, it does facilitate and expedite transactions as it relates to paying bills and what have you, and
And
as it
keeping track
relates
of your
to
funds. Yeah.
keeping track of your funds.
Yeah.
And what's really extremely important about this is financial institutions um, are accepting alternative or non-traditional credit now,
Mm-hmm.
meaning that for those of you that pay your rent on a regular basis, and I hope that's all of you that are renting, you pay your rent on a regular basis, you pay your cable bill on your regular basis, cell phone bill on a cable on a regular basis, and your insurance and utilities on a regular basis. If you pay by that checking account and it appears on your statement for 12 months, then it offsets the traditional credit from Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion to the point where it can vouch for your credit and your credit scoring.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but at the same time, for it to account for that, it has to be present in your bank account and coming out of your bank account, where it's creating a paper trail and
Exactly.
where the mortgage lender is willing to risk loaning you money based on the evidence that they've seen in your bank statement.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So
Yes.
if that's the case and what have you, whether you have credit or you don't have credit, what it can do is vouch for you in that particular instance where you have little or no credit or a bad credit to little or no credit. It can vouch for you and say, oh, this person pays their rent on time. This
Mm-hmm.
person pays their cable bill or cell phone bill on time. This person pays their utilities and insurance on time. Oh, then if they pay all those things, which are usually not reflected on your account unless you are in a derogatory state,
Yep.
then that vouches for you a long way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's why I just think we need to find not very creative
Alternative.
ways, non-traditional ways, alternative ways to help people um, get banked because they don't oftentimes they don't recognize how important it is and how impactful it is on your whole life if you're not associated with any kind of bank, credit
Not
union,
only
bank,
that,
any of that. You need to have some kind of association with some kind of banking institution for your own well-being.
not only that, if you have items like that that you pay on a regular basis,
Mhm.
especially rent, if you live in a big facility or a facility that has multiple units in it, ask them if they do rent reporting. And rent reporting is where you report to Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian your rent payments. And
Mhm.
if you've done that for a year and what have you, yeah, it's not a financial institution that I know of that would not take that into account as it relates to your credit scoring.
Mhm.
If you live in those big apartment complexes downtown or anywhere in the metropolitan area, ask them if they do rent reporting and if they do backdating specifically for reporting of your rent that you paid in the past, because that can contribute greatly to your credit scoring.
Yes. 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 And as I say, sometimes we have to help financial institutions think of ways to help the people who need the help the most, and try to get them away
Absolutely.
from the traditional ways they've helped. Well, but we don't do that. Well, you don't do it, but can you do it? Is the question. How
Exactly.
can you
Exactly.
do it? And
A-
can you
And
find
are you
ways?
willing to do it?
Yes. Are you willing to do it? Because it's good for everybody because they're going to get more money into their coffers, and the person is going to get something for being in the banked world. So it just makes sense to
Absolutely.
me that there should be some alternatives for people because like I said, there are people who just have an aversion to going into a bank and sitting down in one of those little booths with one of those little purses and filling out all those papers and have them ask you all that information. But they'll do it in a seminar setting. If you say, well, go to that
Absolutely.
table where that bank is, and they will help you fill out all the paperwork, they'll do that. And then all you need to do is go in, get a
Yeah,
slip, and put your money in and leave. And then when you get your debit card, you don't even
exactly.
have to go to the bank. You can go to a drive-up machine and do it.
And the good thing about that is some of the lenders that I've approached are community banks. So
Mhm,
those community banks reside around the facility that I'll be using for the home buying seminars,
mhm.
and they have actual branches within that district. So the district is District 2, and they
Okay.
have branches there. So they can, at least by least circumstances, they can make contact with that individual and point
Mhm.
them in the right direction.
Yeah, and it's give them the information, give them the forms they need to fill out or something, and I think that would be
Very
a
much
big
so.
help. And let me go back to sometimes, um, people have difficulty discerning what's on that form, and going into the bank
Mhm.
makes them feel a little bit nervous because they're not sure, how to fill it out or what the word. If they're doing it in a different setting, it makes it a lot more comfortable for them and a lot easier for them to
Very
do it.
much
So,
so. Very much so.
I think that that's something that, and I know you can do that. Now, where are you going to be holding your seminars? Where's this facility you're going to be using?
We're waiting one word from the city of Detroit. Hopefully, that will be done relatively soon, in the next couple of days and what have you. And then I can have you blasted out as well as other entities blasted out, because we want at least 50 to 100 home buyers this year in 2025. Um, for those of you that have set goals over the years, and you made those goals for a whole year, or made them long term, we want
Mhm.
you to shorten your time frame and make this a short term goal or a medium sized goal, meaning that you're attaining it within 30 to 60 days, or no more than 90 days, excuse me, no more than 90 days. We want to get you on the path to home ownership, um, and do that fairly quickly without putting you at unease or in a bad situation. We want to make sure that it's attainable and more attainable, affordable to you in order to make yourself a homeowner.
That makes so much sense. Get people ready. Again, just giving them the information they need to make informed decisions about whether they want to own
Mhm.
a home, and if they do, how do I get there? And you don't just say today
Absolutely.
that I'm going to go buy me a house tomorrow or next week. That is not how it goes, unless you're independently wealthy.
Exactly.
That is not how things happen. So there's a lot that goes into
Exactly.
it.
Well, yeah, we
Um,
want to focus in on the financials to make you aware that, hey, these are the documents you need to gather. This is the credit score you need to have. This is the debt to income ratio you need to have. This is the amount of savings that you need to have. We just want to condense it or streamline it to the point where these are the things that can position you for home ownership instantly. Don't make the goal too long. Make it short. Make it impactful. Make it rewarding.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Um, when we talk about home ownership, do we also talk about responsibilities of owning a home and being in that community, and what your responsibility is to the community and the people who you live around, in terms of keeping
Absolutely.
that your yard up and not making too much noise, and where you park and how you park? I mean, those kinds of things are another aspect of home ownership that sometimes people aren't ready for and don't recognize, that you could buy a house and be able to make the payment, but you also need to be able to have all the equipment that you need to cut the grass, to
Hmm.
water the grass, to paint the house, to do all those things that keep that house looking good and representative of the neighborhood you live in.
Yeah. You and I know that those are factors that affect the value of a home and the
Mhm,
value of the community and what have you. And obviously, we're going to allude to that during the process of teaching people about positioning themselves for home ownership. It's a lot of steps in the home buying process. A lot of us sleep on some of them, but at the same time, one of the things that we want to do is bring people's attention to the necessary factors that affect home ownership and affect the value of that home as well. and in doing so, the things that we've discussed uh, prior to this are going to be some of the principles that we discuss in the workshop itself.
That is just great. That is great.
Mhm.
Now, next month, and I know I'm pushing this a little bit, but next month when you are on the show for Real Estate Tuesday, Real Estate Monday, the second Monday
Mhm.
of each month, I want you to, it'll be Black History Month, and I want you to talk about some historical Black communities
Oh, absolutely. No
and
problem with that at
kind of
all.
where they come from and how they got there and what they're doing, and I think of Conant Gardens. I think of the
Absolutely.
Aviation Subdivision. I think of Russell Woods. I
Hmm.
think of LaSalle Gardens. All those places that
I don't know how much time you have allotted for that, but at the same time, and
we
I
don't
don't know if
we we may have to do 2 shows on it, but I think
I
it's
don't know
important.
how many uh, uh, guests you can accommodate, but I'd love to bring on some of those people and talk about their respective neighborhoods.
Bring them into the show. I can accommodate people in the show.
How many can you accommodate?
I can accommodate at least 3.
At least three?
Yeah, bring them on. Have
Okay,
them put right
we may
here.
have to do that.
Have
We
them
might have to do that more than once, though.
that's okay. We can
Okay,
do that. That's okay. I
okay.
think this is such an important subject, particularly for Detroit, because Detroit was known as the Black home ownership capital of the country
Very
at one
much so.
time.
Very much so.
And there's a generation who don't even know that.
Okay. I mean, I can think of five people off the hand. There's no big deal because I can think of them instantly. Matter of
Yeah,
fact, I've probably had communication with three of them this week. But
yeah. I
yeah,
would
that
love
would be excellent. That would be excellent.
Yeah, I would love to talk about that and to see how we can get involved in bringing some of those communities. Some are still there, but those that are not where they used to be, helping them to rise back up to where they were in the
Yeah,
heyday.
yeah. And in actuality, three are members of my advisory board.
Oh, perfect,
So no, I don't have a problem with that at all. I mean, that's a pleasure right there.
perfect,
It'd be a pleasure
perfect,
to bring them
perfect. And sometimes, and we think of communities again that some folks don't even know. What's the one on the east side? Uh,
around where.
New- Newtown.
No.
Um, uh, right down the street from the Fisher on Dickerson, right off of Dickerson, south of Jefferson.
Oh,
Um,
you mean
yeah, that one. We know what we're talking about. I just can't think of the name of it right now. What was the
not
name of it?
not Jefferson Chalmers though.
No, not Jefferson Chalmers. This one is
Um,
south of. It's right behind the trade school. Not trade school. The school. What it is? No, this isn't what is the name of that community? Newtown is one of the streets in that area. They were built by Charles Brown, one of the black developers, right off of Dickerson, right before you get to Gray Haven.
I know who you're talking about. I know
You
who you're
know,
talking.
uh-huh. That whole neighborhood. Beautiful
Yeah,
home.
yeah.
Yeah.
Not
So
to mention Mr. Morgan with Castle
oh
Construction.
yes. Jerome Morgan, Morgan Estates.
Morgan, yeah, Morgan Estates, and
Yes.
Joseph Berry subdivision
Yes.
because
Yes.
that's where he started initially.
Uh-huh. Yeah, so
Okay.
I just want people to know that about those places because
Okay.
they're wonderful. So that's your assignment for for February for Black History Month. And like you said, we may have to do 2 shows on that
Not a
because
problem. Not a
it's
problem at all.
important enough to raise the awareness of young people who
Mhm.
don't have a clue about some of those areas and new people moving into the
Right.
city, because there are a whole lot of folks moving into the city. I met a young lady just the other night who is the manager of the downtown Detroit post office, just moved here from Atlanta, just transferred,
Nice.
and she
Mm.
manages the whole post office of downtown, and she's
I
looking
hope.
for a place to stay.
I,
And
I
so,
hope she brought a coat.
oh, well, she did. She said good. Well, she said no. She had to go buy one because she didn't have the kind of clothes. She did. Well, I don't have the kind of clothes we need for this kind of weather.
and hat and earmuffs and gloves and boots.
All of that. But a nice young
Yeah.
lady, and yeah. So yeah, we need to. But I want to highlight those communities, and even talk about the ones where Hartford Avenue Baptist Church used to be,
Very much
and
so.
Reverend Sampson's church used to be over there, and I can't think of the name of his church right now. It's terrible. The minds
Tabernacle.
Tabernacle, yes, Tabernacle was over there, and Hartford was over there, and what there was another one, and I can't think of that one either. But those churches,
Well,
Burnett, hmm
what
and
was the
that
other
was
one?
a whole community um, that
Saint Stephen.
St. Stephen's, yes,
Yeah, all of those were over there.
yes, but that was a whole community of people who lived in those communities and walked to church.
Absolutely.
And lived there and walked there, and those communities were great communities. And there's a book, as a matter of fact, about that west side, that area, and there's also about the Conant Gardens area. So we're gonna have to. I want to talk about the housing communities that we grew up in,
Okay.
and I'm also going to talk about the one I grew up in, Royal Oak Township,
Okay.
George
I didn't know
Washington
you grew up
Carver
there.
Elementary. Oh yes, Royal Oak Township.
I have
That's
a
where I
lot of friends over
in,
there.
in the projects, Royal Oak Township, George Washington
Well,
Carver.
you got to remember, when Royal Oak Township was getting full to capacity, they
Uh-huh.
crossed 8 Mile
Yes.
in
Yep.
that neighborhood called Garden Homes now,
Yes.
and Emerge and Blackstone were their first areas within the city of Detroit. Not
Yes.
only that, in I can bring on the young lady that's going to talk about the Burwood Wall.
Yes.
And
Yes.
if you
Yes.
know anything about the Burwood Wall, FHA was lending to white people when they weren't
On
lending to
one
black
side.
people,
That's right. Mhm.
and blacks weren't allowed on the west side of the wall.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, I mean on the east side of the wall. Excuse me.
No,
And
west side.
in doing,
They weren't
it
allowed
was
on
the
the
west
west
side.
side. They weren't allowed on the west side. They were allowed on the east side, but not the west side.
Okay, because
Uh-huh.
uh, whatever they were doing, they weren't lending to blacks.
Exactly. But they were
Matter
lending
of
to
fact, they
white.
were
Same kind of house.
very much so. They were trying to
Or
squeeze
not
blacks
lending.
out of home ownership or discourage them from home ownership.
That's right.
And in
That's
doing so, hey, we didn't start really moving into that area to the latter part of the 50s, early part of the 60s.
hmm
And now that neighborhood is mostly composed of individuals that originally had their start in Royal Oak Township.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And if you look up at the area around Oak Grove Church,
Mm-hmm.
Cherry Lawn and Pembroke and all of those houses, that
Right.
community around, same thing. Many of those folks were from Royal Oak Township.
Okay. I didn't
Yeah.
know that part about it.
Yes.
Because I know Oak
No,
Grove
all
is up
down
there,
Wyoming.
Mabula, Wisconsin Avenue Baptist Church. Um, then Oak Grove moved to the corner of Cherry Lawn and Pembroke. That's where
Yes.
I go.
Uh-huh.
But at the same time, there were a number of churches and a number of communities were displaced because of government wanting that land for others.
Yes. Yep.
So we have to talk
So
about
we
that
got
as well.
lots to talk about. Real estate has played a major part in what has happened in our city. So we need to. I'd like to do that, and we'll do that at Black History Month when you can bring those folks on to talk about that.
Absolutely.
That will be
Absolutely. I'll
important.
do
And yeah, I grew up in Royal Oak Township, went to George Washington Carver Elementary School,
that.
and we'll talk about how we were bused back
Okay.
in those days
Okay.
to Northern High School. That's how I got to Northern High School. Now,
Wow.
mind you, I lived at 8 Mile in Wyoming and Pasadena and Mendota, and we were
Okay.
bused to Northern High School, past Central and Mackenzie and Mumford, all
Wow.
of those, and Highland Park, all past all those schools to Northern High School. Yes.
Okay. Were the other schools predominantly white at that time?
Yep. We couldn't. Yep, they were. They were white and Jewish at that time. We're talking
Wow.
about the 40s and 50s now. We're
Well,
talking about
definitely,
the 50s.
definitely.
And yeah, they were. Yes, sir. And we were bused
Wow.
every morning. They nine buses picked us up and took us to Northern, and then every afternoon, they 9 buses picked us up and took us back to George Washington Carver Elementary School, where we got off. We met to get on the buses and get off. Yes,
That's interesting.
yes, but yeah, and interestingly enough, we had our own school board in Royal Oak Township, our own everything. We were self-contained, own police department, own fire department, own school board,
Uh-huh.
completely self-contained, all black.
And see, most people don't realize this, but when I say it to them, they scoff at it and what have you. But I wasn't born here in the state of Michigan. I was born in Kansas City, Kansas.
Okay. Well,
And until I came up here, August of 71,
ah,
I didn't have any physical contact with any white person.
isn't that interesting?
Okay.
We got a lot to talk about.
August 71, I got on a TWA flight coming
And
up
you,
here.
and you are
And a white stewardess buckled me in, and I'm looking at her like, who are you?
where'd you come from?
Where'd you come from? Because I ain't never seen nobody like you.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
And
1971.
I always laugh at that because that was the beginning of integration for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I love it. Well,
Yeah.
Ken, I'm excited about what we're going to talk about next month in February. You're going to get these wonderful people from these communities, and we're going to have good conversation. Thank you so
Absolutely.
much. I appreciate you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you as well. And
Tomorrow night.
please
Baker's
visit
Keyboard
Baker's Keyboard Lounge from 6 to 9 tomorrow night. The tribute is for Yvette Meadows. She was a songstress that unfortunately passed away last Monday. And we want to help raise funds for her burial, for her family that's putting together a tribute with us and her former band members. So please come in. It's $10 admission at Baker's Keyboard Lounge tomorrow night from 6 to 9.
All right. Tuesday night, 6 to 9, Baker's Keyboard Lounge, Livernois, just south of 8 Mile. We'll see you, everybody, tomorrow night. And we'll see you on the Community Bell Show next Monday, 4 o'clock. Have a great week.
Have a great evening.
Thank you for listening to Community Bell with your host, former Wayne County Commissioner Edna Bell. This broadcast was brought to you by WVTC Radio Detroit. You can find us on Facebook, YouTube, our website, www.wvtcradio.com, or download our WVTC app from the Play Store for Android users and the App Store for iPhone users. If you've enjoyed this broadcast, tell a friend to tune in. We'll see you next Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern to the Community Bell Show, right here on WVTC Radio Detroit. You're listening to WVTC Gospel Radio Detroit, and we're flowing in the Spirit. You're listening to WVTC Gospel Radio Detroit, and we're flowing in the Spirit.